good morning and welcome to the celebration space. My name is Kaylee Phelps and today we are talking about my takeaways from Get Organized with the Home Edit, an organization show that has been all over the internet, all over Netflix. For the past few months, I kind of trickled through it you can watch, mix and match the episodes, and so I watched it, I really liked it, and I wanted to share with y'all some of my favorite takeaways from it, just because I think it's a fun takeaway. I talked about my biggest takeaways from the Marie Kondo show, which was vertical folding #1, and then also some of the spiritualism of having like your energy with objects and thanking them for their service and taking them away. So I'll come back around to that, but just for a little bit of context, if you haven't heard of the show Get Organized with the Home Edit. The Home Edit is an organization team based in Nashville, and let me get their names correctly. It's Clea Shearer and Joanna Teplin, and they work in Nashville. They have teams in different cities all over the country, and they made this Netflix show in conjunction with the Container Store. Reese Witherspoon is one of the first celebrity guests and also is an executive producer. She's also has a home in Nashville, which is in the first episode. And all of the episodes are 40 minutes. The first 20 minutes are usually focused on a celebrity's home, and then the second 20 minutes are focused on just a layman person's home and space. So it's usually a little bit of a dichotomy. Usually the layman person has a little bit more mess to what they're working on, but they did every kind of different space, from children's rooms to garages to kitchens to pantry specific, to Reese Witherspoon has a closet that is very specific to having her all of her props and all of her costumes from different projects over the years. So they do a variety of different things. They never did like a bathroom, or they did a closet which kind of turned into a full bedroom for one person as well. So those are just kinds of the types of projects that they worked on. Again, 40 minutes, 20 minutes celebrity, 20 minutes normal person, and then they have 4 different parts of their process. It is edit, organize, contain, and maintain, which I really like how they focus on that. They don't really come back around to the maintenance aspect a ton, but they do talk about making sure that things are accessible, which as a short person, I very much appreciate having things that are accessible to be able to maintain the space. So they have a couple of different kind of keywords that they throw around a lot. They usually say that you have to choose between having the item or having the space, which makes a ton of sense. And they talk about having zones in each type of space that they work with. And so whether that's a closet or a kitchen or a garage. And then they also talk about product a lot. One of the other takeaways that maybe you have or haven't heard of is talking about backstock, which is really just extra home stuff that you're maybe not using or it's not top of mind, but are things having spaces dedicated to having backstock. So for me right now with the global pandemic, they obviously shot this before the pandemic, but that I think are really worth watching just because I thought that they did a really good job with them. I'm going to be quite honest, I'm going to focus on more of the second half of the episodes just because they are a little bit more real with what people's homes look like. And the first one I wanted to talk about was episode 2. In the second half, they have a multi-purpose garage. I believe it's in California and possibly in LA. And they have a family of 4. They have a garage where they want to store a bunch of things. They want to have a garage sale, and then they also want to have workout space and space for toys for the 2 kids. And I think they did a really great job with this space. I think that it's a really practical for this time just because they talk a lot about getting things off the floor, but keeping things, organized into different zones. They had a lot of different zones, and then also, trying to make it more accessible for the kids and for the adults. Then episode number 5 I thought was also important. It's a converted office for a family, and it's kind of almost like a bunkhouse that's outside of their main home. They have a number of sons, and one of them is ill, so they talk a lot about filing and paper. This is really more of the episode where they talk about paper more than any other episode, which I think paper is one of the things that's most challenging for most of us, just because it takes a long time to go through. And then sometimes it's, oh, well, am I going to need that later, or am I good to part with it? So I thought that was really good. And one of my favorite systems that they put into place and that they referenced and that I'm a true believer in is having short-term filing and then long-term filing. So things that you want to be able to touch and have close nearby, but then maybe long-term filing like tax documents or things that you're not really, or past projects that you're really not going to need to reference and potentially maybe never reference, but you're keeping them for a certain amount of time or just in case. That's something that you can file in a separate system. So I thought that was really well done and something I would recommend for anyone who's trying to figure out how to really optimize their home office. Lastly, there were 2 episodes that I wanted to reference for kitchens. I think kitchens also are another place that people have a lot of challenges with, and there were 2 episodes where they did kitchens of layman people. So if you have a big family and you have a bigger home and maybe a multi-purpose kitchen, they did a family of 5 where they had a kitchen that also has a multifunction as their laundry room. And so that was a huge project where they had a lot of little items that they had to take out, go through all the expiration dates of all of the food items, and then put everything back into a system that would make sense. They had different like sections and zones for the father who had been losing a lot of weight, for the kids who wanted grab and go items, for the mom who wanted to be able to bake. So that is something that I would recommend for anyone that has a bigger kitchen with more people in it. And then also in episode 6, they did a smaller kitchen in Brooklyn. So I thought that was really great, especially for me, just to see how they organized a smaller kitchen and made the most of a smaller space. So that's a little bit of context of the show. A few more of my takeaways is that they reference product a lot, almost like a hairdresser or someone would, in their own space. And so they have a lot of clear containers. They have their own line with the Container Store. They also have a best-selling book. So they are a hilarious group of women, and I think their personalities are really what made the show more fun. It's definitely something that I wouldn't recommend for someone who doesn't like watching more of like an HGTV or watching home renovations, because it's very much like that documentary style. But clear containers are queen during this era, and also they are all about labeling. So for me, I am not the biggest labeler, just because if it's a clear container and I'm really organizing by one product, if I know it's all sunscreen and I can see that it's sunscreen and it's really just my family that's going to be accessing those products, I don't find the need to label as much. But they do have their own labeling system, and it is in Clea's handwriting, so you can do all those things. I think the place that this is most important is probably in a pantry or with cleaning supplies. So also I thought that it was really great. They talked about using all of the space. So they worked with a couple of spaces where they had a pantry where they had drawers that went all the way up the wall. That was in the last episode for Kane Brown's kitchen, which was the celebrity portion of the episode. And they moved all the drawers down and made it a lot more accessible, especially for his wife, who's a little bit of a shorter person. So I thought that was really well done. They added hooks to some of the more narrow closet spaces to be able to hang bags or different things on those hooks, and really just trying to maximize space. Especially they did a shared children's bedroom as well. So I thought that was something that is really important, and they highlighted some different ways to be able to do that. And then they did do an event planner's bedroom and I talked about this in one of my other videos, but they took a skirt that no longer fit her that she wore in Paris on her 40th birthday, and they framed it and put it up on the wall. So highlighting sentimental items, I also think is a really cool thing that they did. And I think those are really my biggest takeaways, along with using the word backstock and kind of having specific storage areas for backstock. I thought that it was a really fun show. I do think that if you are more of a person that is sentimentally involved with your items, I would recommend watching Marie Kondo over Get Organized with the Home Edit, just because Tidying Up with Marie Kondo is the full name of the show. I would recommend that over the Home Edit, just because they are a little bit less sentimental about items. They say either you get the space or you get the item. So whereas Marie Kondo is a little bit more, hey, let's thank every item. Let's really go through each item and what its sentimental value is to you, whether it's a lot or whether it's a little, and then purge it out. During the edit section of Getting Organized with the Home Edit, it's really, hey, pick whether you want the item or the space. Are you really using it? Get it out of here. So if you're more of a sentimental type, I would say Marie Kondo is a little bit more of your style, especially because I believe she's Shinto, which is a religion where, you know, you really thank all the things in your life, and it's all about gratitude. So don't quote me on all of that. I'm not an expert in religions, but that is kind of my takeaways. I would say this episode was really fun, and if you like to creep on celebrity homes, rather than more of a normal layperson's home, I think that's something that I would also recommend just to check out. So those were my favorite takeaways, and if you have any other takeaways that you really liked from watching the show, or anything that you would like to, you know, check out from the show, please let me know below. And until next time, enjoy celebrating today.